I never have implied that Israel had anything like apartheid inside its own country. But in the West Bank and Gaza, yes. And I also emphasized peace, not apartheid, as my goal. I spent almost 30 years of my life with one of my major goals, bringing peace to Israel and its neighbors. And there's no doubt now that in the occupied territories, a minority of Israelis is choosing to have land instead of peace. And in the acquisition of that land deep within Palestinian territory, they have established not only settlements, more than 200 of them, but they connect the settlements with highways. And the Palestinians are excluded from the use of many of those highways and not permitted even to cross the highways. So there is, in many ways, a much more serious deprivation of human rights among the Palestinians because of his ill-advised policy than even there was in South Africa. The title is designed to provoke discussion, debate, analysis, which is almost completely absent in my country. There's practically no debate or discussion of any subject that might bring criticism on any policy of the Israeli government. And I saw this as a major obstacle to the promotion of peace. It's a minority of Israeli leaders who prefer to occupy Palestinian land that is the obstacle to peace. It's a violation of United Nations resolutions. It's a violation of the agreements that were worked out at Camp David. It's a violation of the agreement that Israel's leaders and parliament accepted in Oslo because of the Norwegians. It's a violation of a international quartet's roadmap, all of which calls for Israel to withdraw from occupied territories. It's a violation of all those things, and a violation of the majority of the will of Israeli people that is the obstacle to peace. My side is to promote what I think might bring peace agreements that would let Israel live in peace within its international recognized borders, and to let the Palestinians have a state alongside Israel in their recognized borders and have them live at peace with one another. That's my desire. It's a crime against the people of Palestine. I was there and helped to monitor the election this January. I was there a year before that when Mahmoud Abbas was elected to replace Arafat. I was there 10 years earlier when Arafat was elected, and so forth. The Carter Center was all over the West Bank. And the election of Hamas last January was open, honest, fair, safe, completely legitimate election. To punish the Palestinian people because they voted for the candidates of their choice, I think is literally a crime. And the detrimental impact on the Palestinian people has been horrendous, as I described in my book. At the time Hamas was elected, the Palestinian government had already been brought into bankruptcy, as was explained to me by Mahmoud Abbas right after the election. And they went into bankruptcy, in effect, the following month. On top of that, Canada has joined in with the United States and Israel and others in depriving the Hamas people even of their own collected taxes, which are being withheld by Israel. And so there is no way in Palestine now to pay policemen, firemen, school teachers, nurses, welfare workers. They can't get a check from their own government. So they're, in effect, performing their duties without pay. The response by Israel was excessive, beyond what was needed. When Hezbollah did capture the 2 Israeli soldiers, that was a very bad act. I wish they hadn't done it. Israel then declared, Prime Minister Olmert declared that this was a national Lebanese government attack against Israel, which was not true. And they responded by bombing 6,000 different sites all over Lebanon, killing more than 1,000 Lebanese citizens. I thought that was excessive, but Israel certainly has a right to defend itself. No one would deny that right. Also, the capture of the Israeli soldier from Gaza. where the Hamas people dug under the wall and captured an Israeli soldier. I wish they hadn't done it. But the fact is that the Hamas holds one Israeli soldier. Israel holds 9,200 Palestinians, including approximately 300 children, some of them as young as 12 years old, and about 100 women. And immediately when the Palestinians took the Israeli soldier, they offered to swap the soldier immediately for a number of those that Israel was holding. Israel has refused to make any swap to get that soldier back. That's when I was president, and we negotiated an end to wars between Israel and Egypt. When I was elected, there had been 4 major wars in 25 years. The chief antagonist and threat to Israel was Egypt. And I orchestrated, finally, effectively, it took me 2.5 years, a permanent treaty of peace between Israel and Egypt, not a word of which has ever been violated. You know, that was an opening to Israel to have permanent peace. And part of their agreement at Camp David was to withdraw Israel's military and political forces from the occupied territories. That was something that Menachem Begin, the Likud leader, agreed to, and which his own parliament approved overwhelmingly, I think by 85%. At the same time, he agreed to comply with United Nations Resolution 242, which prohibits the acquisition of territory as a result of war and calls for the withdrawal of Israel from occupied territories. This was something that the Israeli government agreed to. I thought that was the birth pangs of a new era of peace in the Middle East.